I remember the study that came out a few years ago that made the point that the way you start your NBA season is a better indicator to how your postseason would go. So if you start off as a really good team through the first 2 months, usually in the postseason, you're probably going to see some level of success. It very rarely showed that if you end the season red hot, that would carry on to the postseason. That's one of the reasons why I looked at the Cleveland Cavaliers going into this playoffs, and even though they walked their way to the finish line, I saw them and be dominant for the first 3 months of the season. I said, yeah, that was enough. That was a big enough sample size for me to think that when they lock in, they'll be able to at least compete for a championship. Obviously, them boys went home in the second round. But every once in a while, you see a team like the Indiana Pacers, and it make me rethink that whole study that I read, and I can't tell if maybe that data is now outdated, because even last year you saw the Dallas Mavericks do the exact same thing, right? Where the Mavericks didn't start the season so hot, but they ended so well, and then they went to the NBA Finals. So I don't know if that study is now outdated just 2 years later, or is what the Pacers doing right now an anomaly, or what the Mavericks did last year is an anomaly. I don't really know. But we've watched this team since the beginning of the postseason just dominate. Just dominate. Obviously, the OKC Thunder, if they do match up against each other, I ain't counting nobody out, damn it. If they do match up against each other in the finals, OKC will be the heavy favorite. But I feel less. I think I still pick the OKC Thunder in that series, don't get me wrong. But I feel less, set in stone with that opinion as of right now. And to think that nobody saw this coming. And again, the indicators were there. January 1st, fourth best net rating team. This team is one of the best offensive teams, and they were the 8th best defense in that same time frame. The writing was kind of on the wall, but nobody believed it because we were so hell-bent on the team that started off so good in the Cleveland Cavaliers and the reigning champions in the Boston Celtics. This team is one game away. And with me doing these recaps almost every single night, I feel like I've run out of things to kind of compliment them on. You know what I mean? I feel like I've talked nothing but praises for Tyrese Halliburton for a full month and a half. I'm going to do it again, though, because, boy, what a performance from this one. We were talking about game number 4 on Numbers on the Board podcast, by the way. We dropped that 2 times a week on YouTube, and we're also on TV 2 times a week. Did you know I had a TV show? Some of y'all may not have known that. And we were talking about it. Obviously, Pierre is a Knicks fan, so he goes in with – he had to be optimistic about his team after game number 3, and he was talking about how the pressure shifts a little bit to the Pacers now, that they blew a 20-point lead in game 3. And I pushed back on it because – this team has just been able to lose a game 3 and bounce back amazingly. And what we just watched tonight, I mean, I don't know what happens in the finals or if they make the finals or they blow this lead 3-1. But the performance that we just watched from Tyrese Halliburton is an all-timer, man. It is indeed an all-timer. 32 points, 12 rebounds, 15 assists, 4 steals, 0 turnovers. I've said it once, I said it again. It's something special about a player that you can put the ball in his hands as much as they put the ball in Tyrese Halliburton's hands for him to never turn the ball over. Think about it logically. Like, if your star guy, the guy that holds the ball majority of the possessions, isn't turning the ball over, that means as a team, you're probably not turning the ball over a lot. And they did go through a little stretch. I don't remember if it was the end of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter, where they had 2 straight possessions with a turnover. So their turnover numbers are 11 opposed to like it being single digits if that little stretch didn't happen. But for him to come out and have this level of performance, I thought there was a little stretch in that second quarter where he got kind of complacent, I guess. And when he got the switch on Mitchell Robinson, I think he had took 3 straight threes, or maybe 5. I think it was 5 straight threes, and he missed all of them. But eventually he got back to his bread and butter. And one thing I saw on Twitter, people were asking during that stretch, like when he was getting the switch and he wasn't attacking, what was he doing? There were a few of the times where it's just, I don't know, we're watching chess at the end of the day. I know at the end of the day, this is a orange little ball that's bouncing and you got to put in the cylinder, but we're watching teams, both of these teams, honestly, just pick apart things that they think that they have the advantage on. So when you see that the Knicks are switching everything, even if that means that Mitchell Robinson is now on an all-NBA point guard, Tyrese Halliburton can pull up from that 3. We see him drive to the paint on a couple of those possessions, but again, he kind of laid back for a little bit. And people are asking, why did he get away from the thing that was just working so well in the last couple possessions? But then I look at him like, oh my goodness. You pull away Mitchell Robinson away from the rim, and guess what? Pascal Siakam get that post touch. He's got a small defender on him. And Pascal Siakam makes them pay. Again, this is chess. This is chess with some of the smartest players in our entire league. And again, Tyrese Halliburton is climbing up that list slowly but surely as one of the supercomputers when it comes to processing the game of basketball. Never turn the ball over, making the right decision time and time again. Pascal Siakam, 30 points, efficient 30 points, amazing. Benedict Mathurin had been basically unplayable since the day that he pushed the hell out of DeAndre Hunter. Since that day, I said I don't want to see him play in game 4. I didn't want to see him play. He had 20, gave them good rebounding. Oh, it ended up being 2, but I feel like I remember those 2 rebounds. Gave them good rebounding, gave them good energy. And that's hard to do coming off the bad performances that he had. You know how we talked about in game number 3, the Knicks, and same thing with the Minnesota Timberwolves, wanted to make sure that they didn't leave no stone unturned. It ended up being Terrence Shannon Jr., ended up being Landry Shamet and DeLon Wright for the Knicks. Benedict Mathurin just gave them a performance that they just needed one game. They needed one Benedict Mathurin performance, and that will be enough for them to have a comfortable lead. Just like the Knicks needed one Landry Shamet game, even though he only had 3 points. One Landry Shamet game, one really good Deuce McBride stretch just for them to keep their season alive. All it takes a little bit. And that's why I was so disappointed last night. If we going back to it, I didn't have time to film a video because we were filming a TV show, that the Minnesota Timberwolves got 3 great performances from role players and they didn't capitalize on it. All you need is that one performance. They didn't get it. But the Pacers did. The Pacers have a Benedict Mathurin come in and just play 12 points, get to the line as much as he did, put in that pressure on the rim, a place that if Mitchell Robinson's not on the court, the Knicks don't want you to put that pressure there. So he was amazing today. Neesmith giving it a go on the bum ankle. Like, I don't think I had a single negative note. Now, obviously, they didn't play the perfect game. They gave 121 points. But, like, I just felt like they were in more control the entirety of this game, so much so that a lot of the notes that I had was more about the New York Knicks more than anything. And I don't want to give them the whole, like, season is over thing because we've seen 3-1 comebacks before, but I will say I feel pretty comfortable by saying that the Pacers are going to win at least one of these next couple games to put them in the NBA Finals. Insane. Can I just talk about one thing that pissed me off? Again, I'm a neutral here. I don't care who wins. I got a friend in both teams. So I want to see both of them be successful. Either way. The amount of times, and I cannot wait to rewatch these specific possessions because I should have tallied them down once it looked like it was becoming a trend. The amount of times the Knicks had a miscommunication and gave up an open look on a baseline out of bounds play is absolutely mind-blowing to me. Sometimes it felt like the Pacers' best offense was just having the ball, coming out of a dead ball. They had, and Obi Toppin hit the big shot at the end of the game to ice it, obviously. But there were so many times where the Pacers just generated an amazing look on a sideline, baseline, out of bounds play. And it's like, obviously, that is one of the more constructed scenarios we have in basketball, right? Because very rarely do you see somebody do a baseline out of bounds and they're not running something. But for the Knicks to just give it up at least it felt like every single time, blows my mind because, again, this is an NBA team. Not only is it an NBA team, this is an NBA team in the goddamn conference finals. A worthy NBA conference finals team. And they were just letting the Pacers do whatever they wanted on those possessions. And I'm just like, I'm just like, man, that ball is out of the Knicks. Count 2 points minimum for the Pacers because they going to run something to get them an open look out of this dead ball. It was mind-blowing to me. Absolutely mind-blowing to me. One of the questions I got once on Twitter as I was just scrolling through Twitter during halftime, somebody asked me, what do I think about the Jalen Brunson plus minus? And I'm not too sure what to make of it just yet. I feel like I have to go back and rewatch the majority of the series because obviously Jalen Brunson doesn't have an amazing plus minus. Even in the last game when they ended up winning, they went on their most team-friendly stretch where they had that run without him on the court. And if I were to give an opinion now without rewatching the film, I think it has something to do with them just having better defensive players on the court. Full stop. Because even though he had the stupidest double dribble of all time, DeLon Wright for the entirety of his career has had some of the best hands you'll get from a guard, right? So you got him in the court. Landry Shamet is not notoriously known as a good defensive player, but he's a competitor at the end of the day on that side of the ball. And Jalen Brunson is also a competitor, but he's just so much smaller and so much easier to take advantage of on that side of the floor. So you think about them having these lineups where their traditional starting five is one of the worst lineups in the postseason so far. I just think about them having multiple players, and I'm talking about at the one man in Jalen Brunson and the 5-man in Karl-Anthony Towns that opposing teams can just go at. And again, I want to rewatch this film to see if that's the right opinion to have right now. But I did think that this was game number 3, though, so I'm kind of going back a little bit, that Rick Carlisle was kind of hoping that they got Jalen Brunson back in that game early. Now, Jalen Brunson checked in with a minute to go, hit the big shot, and then they end up winning that game and everything. But I think that they like when they have Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson on the court together if you're the Pacers. This man, Rick Carlisle, has been begging for Precious Achiuwa minutes. He got it today. It was only 2, but he got the Precious Achiuwa minutes finally. He was asking for Kevin Payne minutes. He's playing like mental gymnastics, it feel like, for Tom Thibodeau. But the Pacers being one game away from the finals, man, it doesn't make sense in my April 15th brain. But now, on whatever day we're on, it makes total sense. This team has been so damn good. And I can't wait to get to thinking about the next series if they end up closing this one out. Halliburton, career playoff performance. I think they said he joined only Nikola Jokic and Big O as players that have 30 point, 15 assists, 0 turnover games. That's nuts. That's nuts. And I know that, if you are a social media user, you see a lot of people complaining about different things on both of these series or the entirety of the NBA, man. I hope y'all are really appreciating the performances we are getting from these star players, because whether it be this run from Halliburton or in the other series, the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander performances we are getting where he is as consistent as can be, I hope y'all appreciating it, because it's just, I don't know. It's abnormal for us to be in this spot. We have 4 different newish stars competing to win a championship, dog. And obviously, it's not a bad thing to have a Curry or Bron or KD or Giannis, all of these dudes, or Jokic, who notoriously are here. But it is something so special to me about us about to crown somebody new. That's so dope. That is so dope. And this Halliburton game, the Shea game last night, the Dub game last night, the performances we got from Jalen Brunson going back to even like the Pistons series. Y'all know my bread is enjoy basketball. And that's what I do the most. I don't know about y'all.